Anytime a warrior has to go do his job, it's scary.
Today, we learned members of the Idaho Air National Guard were deployed to serve in Operation Epic Fury. We hear from the commander of a veterans organization in Post Falls on what this could mean going forward in the war with Iran.
More beautiful weather in the forecast over the next couple of days, but I am tracking some wet weather for the weekend.
And a shocking moment caught on camera when an Amazon delivery driver slams a dog into the ground during a delivery. How Amazon is responding tonight. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the night report here on KREM 2 News. I'm Sydney Schofield. Less than 24 hours after the U.S. and Iran agreed to pause fighting for 2 weeks, Iran's state media is reporting the Strait of Hormuz is closed once again. Tehran shut down the waterway after Israel launched a wave of attacks targeting Hezbollah militants in Lebanon. Lebanon's health ministry says the strikes killed 182 people and injured 890 more. Iran's foreign minister posted, "If America doesn't reign in Israel, the ceasefire was off."
I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. That has been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire.
Now back in Washington, House Democrats will now try to pass a war powers resolution again Thursday to limit President Trump's ability to further strike Iran. Negotiators for both sides will meet in Pakistan this weekend, with Vice President J.D. Vance leading the U.S. delegation. And tonight, Idaho troops are now part of the escalating tensions in the Middle East. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy tells us what the commander of a veterans organization in Post Falls has to say about it.
After 6 years of reserve duty in the military, Tim Shaw became the commander for American Legion Post 143 in Post Falls. As the largest post in Idaho, he says their mission to help veterans and their families takes many forms.
We hold car shows. We have 4 meals a week. We have a veteran service officer that helps these guys get benefits.
But now Shaw says his focus is not only at home, but also on what's going on in the Middle East. On Wednesday, it was announced members of the Idaho Air National Guard were deployed for the Iran war in the last few weeks. This is a part of Operation Epic Fury, which was initiated by President Donald Trump to eliminate threats from the Iranian regime. Idaho's 124th Fighter Wing is in what is called the U.S. Central Command Area of Responsibility. Right now, it's not confirmed where the troops are stationed or how long they will be there.
They're picking probably specific units for specific reasons to be deployed over there because they have certain skills that maybe other units might not have.
Sean says the deployment didn't come as a shock to him, and that despite differing opinions on how the war came about, it's important to show support for those overseas.
This is the job of the U.S. military, is to be prepared for moments like this.
As everyone at home waits to hear more information about where exactly the airmen were sent, Shaw acknowledges the fear families of airmen may be facing. He advocates anyone needing help reach out to his post or other organizations across the state that help those in the military and their families.
Anytime a warrior has to go do his job, it's scary for everybody involved, for families and wives and children and the guys going out. But it's the job that has to be done.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
We'll keep you updated as we learn more about that fighter wing. But for now, let's head to our Outdoor Weather Center meteorologist Michelle Boss, keeping a close eye on that forecast. How does it feel out there right now, Michelle?
Not quite as toasty as it was when the sun was out earlier today. It's so nice and warm and a little bit of a breeze. Now the winds have died down, but we have clear skies even with the light pollution. You can still see plenty of stars out there, and do expect temperatures to drop back down into the 30s overnight and early tomorrow morning. We're at 48 degrees right now in Spokane, 45 in Coeur d'Alene, but we have dropped down to the 30s in Deer Park and Sandpoint. So again, it'll be a little bit of a coolish start tomorrow. Temperatures still holding out into the 50s out in central Washington, though. 52 in Grand Coulee, 51 in Moses Lake, and Lewiston still at 52 degrees. But as you can see, dry all across the region, just a little bit of cloud cover in the far southern portion of the state, and that's headed out of our way. So we are looking at clear skies for the rest of the overnight and plenty of sunshine on the way for tomorrow. That's going to allow us to warm up pretty quickly. So even though it may be a little bit chilly early in the morning, by mid-morning we should already be up around 50 degrees, and we are headed back into the lower 60s tomorrow. So similar temperatures to what we saw this afternoon. Even warmer on Friday, a little bit more cloud cover, but 67 degrees. But we are looking at some wet weather moving in for the weekend. Could even see some showers as early as Friday evening, but better chances of wet weather for Saturday, and also expecting cooler temperatures and some rain on Sunday.
Michelle, thank you. A doorbell camera caught a disturbing situation in Rathdrum. A dog being thrown by the neck and slammed onto the rocks in a family's front yard by an Amazon delivery driver. We want to warn you, this video is hard to watch. The family says it happened Sunday, April 5th. It shows Joe Hickey's dog Rocky being picked up by the scruff of his neck and slammed into the ground right in front of his house by an Amazon delivery driver. In an interview you can only see here on KREM 2, Hickey says he was in his backyard and his wife was inside the house when this happened. Initially, he says he thought the driver might have kicked his dog.
I was home. I was right here where we're standing in the backyard. I was doing yard work. My wife was in the house. He's scared of strangers now. He's healing, kinda. He's on pain medications every 24 hours.
Rocky was left with scrapes on his stomach, a broken left ankle, and a possible dislocated joint. Hickey says Rocky's surgery is scheduled for next week. Today, Amazon sent us a statement about what happened. They said they've reached out directly to the customer to apologize. Amazon also said they are investigating the incident and working closely with the driver's employer to ensure appropriate action is taken. A former SPS teacher accused of raping a 10-year-old student has bonded out of jail and is now out of custody. 32-year-old Mihaela K. Benavidez pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree child rape and first-degree child molestation. According to court documents, Benavidez was a special education teacher at Stevens Elementary School. She was arrested after the school's principal called police to report allegations brought forward by a family member of the student. Her trial is set to begin next month. A Spokane woman who stole more than $1 million from her employer admitted to the crime this morning. According to court documents, Carol Amato defrauded Hattenberg Excavating and Hat Asphalt Incorporated between July of 2023 and October of 2025. The business told us Amato worked there as a bookkeeper and office manager for 9 years. She also admitted to spending that money on gambling and other personal expenses when she pleaded guilty this morning. Her sentencing hearing is scheduled for July 6th. Last night, the Spokane Valley City Council passed an ordinance that would ban cryptocurrency kiosks in the city. The goal is to help prevent fraud and scams. The ordinance would prohibit virtual currency kiosks within city limits. Spokane Valley Police say that between October of 2023 and October of 2025, they investigated 10 cases of people losing money to scams that use these virtual currency kiosks.
I would say that we have between 30 and 60 cases that are active right now in the last year that we're still trying to track, recover, and we do recover a certain amount of it, but it's problematic with how fast this money exchanges. A lot of times it'll go overseas, like Detective Oliphant's case, 17 seconds, it made 4 stops across the U.S. and was changed to Indian Nari and was put into a bank account. And when, of course, India will not comply with any service from the United States for search warrants or anything.
The ordinance passed unanimously. An Idaho bill headed to Governor Brad Little's desk could strip Medicaid coverage from up to 34,000 people. House Bill 913 would require Idahoans to prove their community engagement, things like working to get and keep their Medicaid coverage. If they can't prove or comply, they could be denied. Experts with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network say they estimate this new requirement could cut between 20,000 and 34,000 people from Medicaid.
It's not because they don't qualify. They're doing the right things. If they're on Medicaid expansion, they already meet the income qualifications. This is just bureaucratic red tape.
The Idaho legislature has wrapped up, which means Governor Brad Little has until this Tuesday at 5 p.m. to decide on the bill. If signed into law, the requirements would kick in no later than December 31st of 2026. Seattle native and mountaineering legend Jim Whittaker has died. Whittaker was the first American to summit Mount Everest, the world's tallest peak, back in 1963. Over the years, he guided and influenced generations of climbers through his leadership and outdoor expertise. He also helped REI grow into a major outdoor retailer. Jim Whittaker died yesterday at his home in Port Townsend at the age of 97. All right, don't go anywhere. We still have a lot more to cover here tonight on the Night Report. Coeur d'Alene Fire Department's new fire chief says he's out, why he doesn't want the job, and what the department's next move could be. But first, a serial killer's shocking confession to 8 murders in court today ends a decades-long case. Everything we know in just 90 seconds. Police in the Bahamas say they've taken a 59-year-old U.S. citizen into custody who's being questioned in connection with the disappearance of Lynette Hooker, the American woman who is missing after her husband said she fell off their boat over the weekend. Christian Benavidez is in the Bahamas with the latest on what investigators are now calling a search and recovery mission.
The sailboat belonging to Lynette and Brian Hooker is docked in Marsh Harbor as the search continues for a fourth day. Today, Brian broke his silence about his missing wife, writing online, "I am heartbroken over the recent boat accident that caused my beloved Lynette to fall from our small dinghy. We continue to search for her, and that is my sole focus." The couple had been documenting part of their Bahamas trip on social media in the days before Lynette disappeared. According to Bahamian police, Brian Hooker said they departed hometown at 7:30 p.m. Saturday on their 8-foot dinghy en route to Elbow Key. He said she fell over with the keys to the boat and was swept away in strong currents. He says he lost sight of her and paddled to shore, arriving around 4 a.m. Sunday.
That is the sailboat that was used by Lynette and Brian. It's docked here in Marsh Harbor. They would use a dinghy to get from the sailboat to land.
Can you explain their relationship?
I feel like it's always been kind of rocky.
Carly Aylesworth says her mother and stepfather Brian have been together for about 25 years, but recently split before getting back together.
When you hear the story that Brian gave to authorities, does it add up?
No, it does not.
Why?
For one, I don't understand how she got the key. Brian's always driving.
According to Aylesworth, her mother is an experienced swimmer. In the same online post today, Brian Hooker said he made desperate attempts to reach his wife. CBS News has tried reaching out to Brian Hooker, but have not heard back.
That was Christian Benavidez reporting. In a courtroom on New York's Long Island, as part of a plea deal, serial killer Rex Heuermann admitted to killing 8 women over a span of 17 years, ending in 2010. Today, Heuermann waived his right to trial and confessed to the grisly murders of 7 women, also admitting to killing an 8th woman, Karen Vergata, a 34-year-old mother of 2. The surprise guilty pleas marked an end to a mystery that stumped authorities for decades. Heuermann will officially be sentenced June 17th, but will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars.
61 degrees today, plenty of sunshine, and things are going to be warming up even more over the next couple of days. But I do have rain in the forecast just in time for the weekend. More on your extended forecast coming up.
That is what the Artemis 2 crew woke up to this morning. The sounds of Under Pressure, the classic rock tune by Queen and David Bowie. On tap for the crew, a manual piloting experiment when the astronauts physically steer and maneuver the spaceship. Scientists say their tasks are all part of a larger mission to prepare future crews for long-term space travel and an eventual base on the moon.
Now, going back to the moon is really a next step in human exploration of our solar system. It's so important for us to be able to have that personal experience as well as to learn the skills that will allow us as a country, as a species, to live and work in space on a permanent basis. This is leading up to an Antarctic-style station on the moon.
NASA also released new images of the astronauts early today, bonding during their mission. The Orion spacecraft is scheduled to splash down Friday evening in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. Here at home, the Washington Department of Ecology has declared a drought for a 4th year in a row. This time, though, they say it's for the entire state. They say that the state relies on snowpack that slowly melts during the spring and summer, and going into this month, there's about half the usual amount. According to the department, March's snowpack was the 4th lowest in the last 40 years. They say it will likely result in dry and a difficult summer for our agriculture, fish habitats, and communities. Meteorologist Michelle Boss joining us now. And Michelle, that's probably not a huge surprise to a lot of us because it really has been so dry this year.
Yeah, and it should be noted that drought is not something that happens just because you don't get rainfall for a week or even a month, but it's something that occurs when you have precipitation deficits over months, over seasons, over years. So even if we were to have 5 straight days of rain, that is not enough to solve a drought problem. You just need to have better and increased precipitation over a longer period of time, or closer to what we would expect for this region. That being said, we do have below average rainfall for this particular year. If you're kind of sharp, you might notice that this almanac graphic has something different on this line here, which normally has snowfall to date. I don't think we're going to be changing that number. It was 24.8 inches. I don't think we're going to see any more snow this season. So now I have average precipitation to date. This is what we've actually seen at the Spokane Airport, 4.08 inches. This is what is average for this time of year, 5.6. So we're about 1.5 inches below average for rainfall for this year. Not rainfall, but precipitation. So that would be rain and snow. All right. Other than that, we've had dry weather for today, 61 and 36. Something I should point out, our average low is 36 degrees. And so a lot of folks have been asking, hey, you know, is it safe to put the plants out? Are we past the a freeze risk? And I should note that the average last freeze date for the Spokane airport, that's when temperatures are equal to or less than 32 degrees, is April 29th. So even though I'm not specifically forecasting freezing temperatures anytime soon, there is that risk up into that date. And areas northward, you kind of get into early May. Lewiston is already past their average freeze date. That was earlier in April. So just if you were thinking about putting sensitive plants out, just keep that in mind. All right, this is what we're working with right now. Well above freezing, 48 degrees, clear skies. It is going to cool down into the 30s tonight. We've got light winds, clear skies, and we were in the 30s this morning. We'll probably see similar temperatures tomorrow morning, around 36, 37 degrees. But otherwise, we'll be warming right back up into the 60s with mostly sunny skies on Thursday, tomorrow, and then partly cloudy skies on Friday. Showers are on the way for the weekend. We even have a chance to see some showers as early as Friday evening. And then looking ahead into next week, the weather pattern is a little bit cooler and a little bit less sunshine. So the temperature trend for the next 7 days shows the warmest temperatures are going to be for tomorrow and Friday being in the upper 60s. And then we start to cool down for the weekend. That, of course, due to some wet weather. And then we'll just see more clouds than sun next week and even a few showers, holding our highs into the low to mid 50s, a little bit below average. On the weather map right now, we have one area of low pressure to our north exiting and watching this one off the coast of California, which the rotation around it is pulling some moisture in from the south. And we'll see that influence on Friday here on Future Tracker, some of that moisture coming up from the south on Friday and then eventually giving us enough moisture to kick off some showers. But for the short term, clear skies for tonight, mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. It's not until Friday we start to see a little bit more cloud cover. And then by late Friday, we do have that slight chance to see some showers and a better chance as we get into Saturday. So here's a look at that extended forecast. Dry and sunny tomorrow and Friday and mild. Chance of showers Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday. And then overall, cooler and less sunny for next week with highs in the low to mid 50s.
Michelle, thank you. The Coeur d'Alene Fire Department's pick for fire chief, Jake Beeker, says he's out. The Coeur d'Alene City Council unanimously voted to approve Beeker as the new fire chief less than 3 weeks ago, but he declined the offer. He said he would better serve the city as a firefighter. The city's next choice for fire chief is John Fugit, who is currently serving as deputy fire marshal for the Fullerton Fire Department. And we want to let you know this Friday you can watch the Seattle Mariners on KREM 2. They'll take on the Houston Astros. First pitch is at 6:40 p.m. And then after the game, you can watch a special edition of KREM 2 News at 9:30 p.m. And you can watch 9 more games this season on KREM and KSKN. If you want to learn more about the Mariners broadcast on our channels, just head to our website, krem.com. Coming up next in sports, an update on our local teams as the transfer portal chaos continues. We'll be right back.
West Resort Casino.
Welcome back. Well, the transfer portal has not been kind to Washington State men's basketball, and the hits just keep on coming. Washington State guard Jerome Morton announced on social media that he is entering the transfer portal. He said in his post, quote, "I'm grateful for the support from my coaches, teammates, and the entire WSU community." His transfer means that as of right now, the Cougs do not have any players on the roster that have averaged over 1 minute last season. It'll be a completely blank slate for head coach David Riley. An Idaho guard Isaiah Brickner will also be entering the transfer portal. Brickner averaged 11.9 points per game this season and 3.9 rebounds at Idaho. Brickner is not new to the portal. He transferred from Marist in 2024. And Eastern Washington guard Andrew Cook also announced he's entering the portal. Cook missed all of last season with an ankle injury, but during the 2024-2025 season with the Eagles, he led the team in scoring with just under 16 points per game and had 25 games with double-digit points. He will be looking for an NCAA waiver. The Mariners trying to avoid a sweep against the Rangers today, and it was a pitching duel. Mackenzie Gore on the mound for the Rangers. He had 9 strikeouts. Still scoreless in the 3rd inning. Josh Smith with a deep fly ball off of Brian Woo's first pitch of the inning, but Rob Refsnyder going back, and he robs a home run. Beautiful catch. Brian Woo is stunned, eventually tips his cap as this game stays tied. Woo in a jam, though, in the 5th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. Connor Joe, just called up from AAA, playing first base, fields it, throws it wide of the plate. It is an error on the throw. 2 runs score. The Rangers add 1 more on a sacrifice fly in that inning. 3-0 is the final. The Mariners have now lost 5 straight games. Earlier today, the Kraken announced Ron Francis is stepping down as the team's president of operations, a role he was promoted to last year. The Kraken made the playoffs in the 2nd season of the franchise. Unfortunately, it's been their only playoff berth and only season above 500. In a statement released by the Kraken, Francis says, quote, "This organization has a bright future, and I'm grateful to have been part of its beginning." And in other hockey news, Spokane Chiefs goaltender Carter Essler was named a finalist for the WHL's Humanitarian of the Year award. According to a Chiefs press release, Essler worked with the team and equipment brand Bauer over the season to design and create special sets of pads for 4 Spokane Chiefs theme nights this season. The team then auctioned off each set of pads to benefit community organizations and raised nearly $9,000. That's all for sports. Sydney, back to you.
Well, I guess that kind of says it all, but it was such a nice day. Doyle's Ice Cream just opened for the season, so some members of our team had to stop by tonight.
It is dubbed the oldest ice cream shop in Spokane, serving the West Central neighborhood since 1939.
Cute. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in the afternoon and evenings, and their homemade ice cream flavors rotate daily. How cute.
I know, so I got butter brickle tonight.
Ooh.
Which I'm not totally sure what that is, but it's very good. It's very good. And I had someone, we posted about this on social media, I had someone say that they love the coconut ice cream.
Oh,
and the texture of the coconut. So there's a couple more nice days in our forecast if you want to go get some ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, the ice cream truck's been in my neighborhood a couple times already. We're going to be in the 60s tomorrow and Friday with plenty of sunshine. It is going to cool down and turn a little bit wetter over the weekend. Temperatures falling back down to the 50s on Sunday and cooler next week.
Well, we are so glad you joined us here for the Night Report. We hope you have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a good one.